This is the network service of the NTA.
Welcome to your favorite weekend show. For some time on this show now, we've been taking a look at our moral standards, values and ethics, and we've taken a look at it from different angles and perspectives. But the truth of the matter is there's a serious decline in our moral standards, and that's why this weekend on the show, we are going back to the very beginning, to where it starts or where it should have begun, and that is child upbringing, the role of parenting in child upbringing vis-a-vis our moral standards, our ethics, and also our values. People argue that it is very difficult these days to bring up children as against the time of our parents, and others will argue that no, our parents had it more difficult because they didn't have access to some of the things that we have access to. And others, again, will say, because we have access to these things are constituting themselves as distraction in bringing up our children. And so the argument continues to go back and forth. If you're like me and you are confused, don't worry, just relax. Today we'll be taking an in-depth look into this very important topic. And to help us along, we have some very special guests in the house, some features, and of course we have you. Thank you for always keeping a date with us. Our phone numbers will soon be on display. Please do join the conversation. We would love to hear from you. It is Weekend Deal coming to you live from the network service of the NTA. My name is Patient Eloy Abba. I am always delighted to be here. Welcome back. Recently, our Muslim brothers and sisters began the Ramadan fast. Their 1 month long Ramadan fast is yearly. It's a sacrifice. And before we begin our show proper today, we'll take two features that will help us understand what this fast is all about. Let me quickly use this opportunity to say Ramadan Kareem to all my Muslim friends, brothers and sisters. Our first feature is put together by NTA Sokoto, and it is about the significance of the Ramadan.
Abdurrahman is fond of coming to the mosque after school. He is healthy and fit in addition to being old enough to fast. This criteria puts him within the category of Muslims who are qualified to fast the month of Ramadan.
I get to understand it is not easy to fast. This makes me understand how full of struggle life is.
To fast Ramadan is to abstain from regular habits of eating and drinking, avoid even permissible sexual pleasures, and all forms of vices right from dusk till dawn.
You are eating every now and then, there is no Ramadan. If you are asked if you can count the number of days you eat, days that are not Ramadan, maybe you eat more than 6 times in a day. You go to the fridge, you take 5 alive, you go to the kitchen, you eat a turkey meat, you go here, you drink water. It's more than 6 times. But in the month of Ramadan, throughout the day, you take sahur, which the Prophet says there is barakah in it, till dawn again you eat. So this period, your intestine is devoid of too much service. There is health benefit in it. It is also said that medically, that by the time you abstain from eating, from drinking and all other bodily pleasures, it said it gives the body the chance to do away with high-level toxins that have accumulated over the years.
There is much more to learn during Ramadan, besides persevering the thirst and hunger.
Personally, it teaches me how to endure and how to be patient, because for you to be patient, not eating, not drinking anything from morning till dawn, it is not an easy thing. So that tells me whatever I want in life, I have to be patient for it, even if it is not within my capacity at the present time.
the fasting is just maybe 30 days, but some are experiencing this all year through, say 12 months. Maybe the period that we have to eat 3 times a day or even 2 times is not that much, but still they cope and they still worship their Lord. What about we who have every meal, afternoon, morning, evening? How far are we observing our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
When in the month of Ramadan, the mind of consciousness will always be in you, even if you have been doing bad. I have a lot of people, even rightly on campus, like I read somebody's status yesterday, why he was saying he doesn't know reason why everybody in his room, they have turned to scholars. Can you see that kind of, because the month of Ramadan is around, so people will always be godly and keep bad things aside.
There are people who day in, day out, for 11 months, that is what they have been doing. But 1 month now, you have been asked to execute this hunger, all these pangs of thirst and whatnot. You should appreciate the fact that you are well-to-do and somebody does not have. At the same time, that person who is poor, he should appreciate the fact that Allah knows why he's in that position. And then make sure that the self-sacrifice, the self-control you have, the self-discipline, you get the benefits of this self-discipline in the month of Ramadan, as it is the month you get closer to Allah. Your God consciousness increases manifold, and inshallah Al-Jannah is our limit.
It is said that you are what you do. Ramadan period is the best of times for Muslims to revive and imbibe good characters that are bound to earn mercy of the Creator. Lessons in it are for the whole of mankind.
Thank you very much, NTA Sokoto. We'll quickly take our second report, which is on Ramadan and nutrition. It is put together by Suleiman Babajia.
Most of us turn this month to be a feasting period. We even, make special dishes for this period. If we take from the spiritual life of our holy prophet, he takes dates and water. That's the first thing he takes when breaking. So it can be with every other person. Water is meant to be taken interval at interval. It can be sipping. You just be sipping that water all through. But if you take a lot of water, probably you are diluting a lot of digestive juices that are ready to act in the food. So when you take a lot of water, it's like you are disrupting your stomach. There won't be balance in the stomach. And you'll be the one to suffer it. That's why you see some people, they will not be able to eat food because they have taken a lot of water. So they have to wait, and by the period of waiting will make them to eat late. They won't, in fact, they will stretch, they are sleeping. They will not be able to wake up at the time to, involve spiritually, to do their supplications. They will not be able to do that because the body will be weak and heavy. And by the time they eat food, they will want to eat at sahur again. So you see, their day will be very, discomforting. So you don't break your fast with cold water. No, it's in fact dangerous to your stomach lining and your intestine. It's not good. What you need is just a warm water or a warm milk. A whole milk, I'm talking about fresh milk, with dates. It can actually supply you with all the energy and electrolytes that you lost during the day. It's sufficient. You don't need to spend so much money. If you don't have money to get fruits, warm water is sufficient. Fruit is very important because it contains a lot of, diuretic, which you need to replace in your body after a day fasting. It contains a lot of antioxidants. It has energy, and instant energy your body needs to absorb. And it purifies your system. I'm talking about any fruits in the season, even though they have their distinct and unique property. Any fruit in the season can be sufficient, especially those that contains a lot of water in them. A lot of food in your stomach that will, start, injuring the lining of your stomach. You are taking it in form of a fluid. So probably when you take up, some absorption start to take place. So you won't have any problem. And that smoothie can help soothe the lining of your stomach, thereby relieving you from that pain. Some people are diabetic, and they felt if they take fruit or any form of a sweet snack can actually aggravate. No, you have fasted for some hours, and expectedly your sugar level will come down, And when you start with such fruits, actually it balances up that, energy you need in your body. But if you try to take it excessively, that is when it can elevate, your sugar level, even before you start your meal. So you need that control. Equally, sahur is very important. We need to wake up and take something, even if it's just water. It is the sunnah of the Prophet. If you are the type of person that likes to eat heavy meal during sahur, then try to do it earlier. Don't take meals that are so fatty, because people do that because they feel it sustain their stomach. They don't feel hungry during the day. Or food that is fried, or food that you added more oil into it. That's the oily meals, So those are food that, will make you feel lazy. Food that will make you feel thirsty. In fact, you won't even be comfortable during the day.
May God Almighty bless the sacrifice of our Muslim brothers and sisters. If you're just joining us, it is Weekend Deal, coming to you live from the network service of the NTA. Today, our spotlight is on upbringing, the role of parental guidance, and vis-a-vis our moral standards, ethics, and values. Our first feature, which is the backgrounder, will not just tell us more about this topic, but it will set the tone for our show. Let's see this.
Every child develops within a complex and interactive social relationships located within social institutions and organizations such as families and communities. Parenting therefore becomes inevitable. As a parent, you are called to provide for the physiological, financial, socio-economic, spiritual, emotional, and psychological needs of your children from infancy to adolescence. This is a task that must be embraced with both arms, considering the increasing rate of moral decadence in the society today.
It's only when you know someone's history, you will know the person's behavior and how he treats issues and how he behaves in a particular atmosphere. Then you'll be able to identify what to do should such thing happen to you as the child or someone who has passed through that person. But unfortunately, in this side of the world called Nigeria, our ethics, morals, and value is really, in fact, we have delusion of morals, ethics, and value because they are not being taught.
In the past, parenting in Nigeria was generally a responsibility of the entire community, where everyone felt obligated to reprimand any child irrespective of who the father or mother was. But today, the story is different.
In Igbo language, it says, when a child is in the womb, it is the mother's own. When the child comes out of the womb, it belongs to the community. You can see another person's child doing what is wrong and scold the child, but now it's not the same. The mother will come out and ask you, do you know who I am? Do you know where I'm coming from? Do you think my child has that kind of training that your child has? Class struggle, like I said earlier. This one believe that their class is higher than this class, and then plus minus. So when you look at it clearly, you find out that we've missed it. We've missed it, and the person to be blamed first are the parents.
The old school parenting in Nigeria included tough love, discipline, and instilling a sense of responsibility in the child. If you were born in the 80s, you will recall being flogged several times by your parents, sometimes due to not answering questions correctly, or you're staying out late with friends without consent from your parents.
We don't have discipline in the terms of how we behave in the society, how we behave in governance, how we behave in the place of work. We don't have discipline. We have thrown away the discipline that our parents has given to us. So it makes it so difficult for us to inculcate such value to our children, because the children they don't have it discipline, and they cannot have it since the parents is not able to inculcate those discipline in them.
There are more conversations today between parents and children, partly because the average child demands it. The typical child in the 21st century cannot imagine being told no without having things explained to them. They are born wired differently today, and perhaps this is as a result of the exposure to technology.
Our children, when they go to the technology, or maybe computer for instance, or the iPhone, whatever, Android, they go there to seek for the bad thing because of the moral they have. They are already inculcated with a bad moral. They believe that the good things is not something they should pursue. The Bible says when you teach a child how to grow, when he grows up, he will not get away from it.
The alarming rise in the rate of rape, incest, molestation, abortion, cultism, violence, and kidnapping could be traced to wrong child upbringing.
The way out is for the family to do the needful. The family is divided. The man is pursuing wealth, the woman is pursuing wealth. The children are left on their own to decide what to do. 1, 2, the education has gone bad. We need to go back to the place of education and then find a way to bring our education to teach the children the right moral, not segregating. The government should come up with programs that give people orientation that the good is good and the bad is bad.
Parenting is not easy, as there are several factors that affect the way parents care for their children. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on child upbringing vis-a-vis our morals, ethics, and values.
That was very interesting. It was put together by Francis Ogbe. I remember those days. One skill parents had, especially mothers, was non-verbal communication. If you are with your mother in public and she looks at you, trust me, she has told you a whole paragraph or sentences and you understand it. She doesn't need to say more than just look at you and you know exactly what happened. Just imagine you go to your uncle's or a family friend's house and you're all laughing and having fun and they bring in the food. And you think your mother is not looking at you, and you think you can test that food. All she needs to do is just look at you. And if you test that food, trust me, let's just go to Ibadan and see traditional way of bringing up children. We'll talk after that.
Culture is a very important aspect of our lives as a people. It is a way of life which includes our mode of dressing, language, food, depicts one's identity, to mention a few. These attributes are pivotal in all our cultures. Amongst the Yorubas, they are embellished with good character, prostrating, kneeling for elders, and respect which transcends all generation. Without good character, cultural values and morals, a well-established and reliable community is difficult.
In Yoruba setting, according to the way I was brought up, you're supposed to respect, you're supposed to have good manners, characters. It shows the kind of background you're from, because in the Yoruba setting, they will tell you wherever you're coming from, from your home, it determines the kind of person you are. To value your family, you're supposed to have good manners, respectful. Your integrity is supposed to be intact, and no matter what is happening, whatever you're doing in the societies, you're supposed to remember which home you're coming from.
Charity, they say, starts from home, which indicates that proper child upbringing is primarily the main duty of parents. But among the Yorubas, the training of a formidable child is the responsibility of the entire members of the community which the child belongs.
There are so many steps that parents ought to take bringing up a good child. But the first thing is, you don't give what you don't have. So you must have a good character yourself before you begin to train your children.
Children upbringing in Yoruba land is centered on the mode of Omoluabi. Omoluabi is the totality of godliness, hard work, chivalry, respect, humility, and so forth.
In the Yoruba setting, I think first and foremost, the manner is very important, in that when your child wakes up in the morning, the boy is supposed to prostrate while the girls kneel down properly to greet you, by saying Ekaro ma, Ekaro sa. Anybody who is senior you're supposed to give them that honor.
Our culture is gradually going into extinction as we are losing grip on proper training of our children, especially as it concerns our values and morals. What is responsible?
The invasion of other people's culture through television, media, and social media particularly. There is the infringement of things that were alien to us before the advancement of technology.
The African person, if you want to copy the white, maybe in their civilization and some other things, but we should not leave out our culture.
Nigeria is blessed with great morals and values which should be held in high esteem and sustained because of its richness and uniqueness. We should endeavor to imbibe these in the proper upbringing of our children and youths in order to build an outstanding and a reliable society and nation.
Again, I want to say that communal upbringing was way to go. So during our time, if you are out of your home, you are still careful how you behave because the next mommy is standing by, the next daddy is watching. So you have to be of the best behavior because you can get the spanking from any of these assistant mommies and daddies. We'll continue our conversation. We'll go on a short break. Don't go away. During the course of the week, Weekend Day stopped and had a chat with Dr. Hajo Sani. She is the SSA to the President in the Office of the First Lady. She's currently the ambassador to UNICEF. And we talked about the book that she just launched on the First Lady, and our discussion dovetailed into the current topic that we are discussing. Let's see this.
Thursday, 8 April 2021 was a day of glowing tribute for the First Lady, Her Excellency Aisha Buhari, as Nigerians gathered to celebrate her at the book launch titled Aisha Buhari Being Different, written by Hajo Sani, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Administration and Women Affairs.
The writing of this book on Aisha Buhari, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is one of my greatest achievements and is something that I conceived right from the beginning of this administration. I kept thinking, what do we do? It should not be business as usual. First ladies come and go without having proper documentation about their activities, their achievement, or what they have done. And since I've been part of the activities of previous First Ladies, especially Her Excellency Mariam Sani Abacha, when I served as a Minister for Women Affairs under the regime of late Sani Abacha, and we worked diligently towards the family support program. And we have scanty documentation here on the mission, vision, and objective of our program, but actually we don't have proper documentation on the activities of one single First Lady until in 2008 I came up with my PhD project actually. My supervisor asked me and advised me to go and research and work on the activities program of the very past First Ladies. And I coordinated that, and it became my dissertation for the attainment of the PhD degree in 2008. Soon after that, I thought it very important to publish it as a book and expanded the academic framework of that dissertation to cover the current First Lady, then that is then patient Jonathan. So I came up with this book, which is First Ladyship and Empowerment Program in Nigeria. I published it in 2010. So this is just the introduction of my literary work, and to say that is one of the reasons I decided to embark on this book, Aisha Buhari, Being Different. And like I said, I had the opportunity to work with previous First Ladies, and we all realized most of these early First Ladies that came up with their different empowerment programs, as soon as they left office, the program die, and nobody hears anything about their program except some 1 or 2 segmented activities or documentation here and there. And it has not really been part of the history we want to see during our time. And it's not also part of the history we want to leave for our younger generation, our future leaders.
It's unlikely that any First Lady...
According to the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, no First Lady had captured the imagination of Nigerians as profoundly as Aisha Buhari. How did the author arrive at this title?
So we had several titles I tell you about at the beginning. Very funny enough, one title that I was actually wanted it to be is Aisha Buhari, Wife of the President and First Lady. To me, as a writer, it's too long and it's not very smart. Then there's another one we said I wanted it to be Aisha Buhari, the First Lady of Nigeria. Everybody was a First Lady in Nigeria. What difference does it make? Why is she the only First Lady? I say, no, that doesn't really actually make sense. Then the other one near to this one was Aisha Buhari, First Lady of Nigeria, making a difference. I look at it and say, everyone can make a difference. What about others? I want something that is really very personal, something direct that can be justified. So in my terms of discussion with people, consultation, we arrive at Aisha Buhari being different. Now people ask me, many people even before now, what do I mean by she's different? By the time there are some people, once I give them one typical example why she's different as a First Lady in personality and every aspect of it, they come to give me more and say, you have not said she has done this, you have not said you have done. Typical example, when you listen to the remark of the Vice President, Professor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, you recalled, he said something very important. The very First Lady in Nigeria that has ever gone into the Twitter, going into the Facebook, personally chatting, personally responding, and personally bringing issues that at the beginning it was controversial, but later what happened? She was vindicated. You see, every issue that Her Excellency Aisha Buhari has brought to the public, that many people had a kind of misconception about it, and has come to be justified. All what she is saying is trying to draw people attention of the need of the common man, what needed to be done to him.
The book chronicles what the First Lady has done in the past 5 years, her childhood years and her growth as a woman and a mother. How long did it take the author to put this together?
I started the idea roughly mentally before thinking of putting it on paper as soon as we came into office. Let me say, by 2006, early 2006, I had my first draft. I wish I have it to show you. You look at it, it looks funny. I had her official picture as the cover page, just a booklet. And from there, I came up, like I said, with a committee. I look at people that share my passion about writing, that have the potential of writing, and also I look at teamwork personally as very effective in achieving results. Just like we know, together everyone achieve more. That's the meaning of team. So we really work hard. People, each one of us worked hard. And everyone has his different assignment. You go and research on this. Okay, we have written this chapter 1. Chapter 1, we need 3 people to review, to look at it, and go ahead to conduct interview with key personal members, family members, that will bring out the required materials we need. Like I said, this is the first time I've written a biography. My previous writing has been on issue. And you see, to write a biography, it requires diligent research, a research on factual historical data that has to be verified to know that they are accurate. I was very happy. The first 3 chapters of this book are very important. They are part of the biography. Chapter 1 on her family background, talked about her birth as a girl child. Normally all my writing I start with conceptual analysis, give a concept on it, generally on what it means to the society. I brought the issue of the girl child in a family. I discussed it before arriving at how she was born, with her family set up, with everything. And one interesting thing about that chapter is when you look at it, you will see a family tree. We came up with a family tree. Actually, this is the idea of, that's why I told you I believe in a teamwork. This is the idea of my editor. I got an external editor. An external editor that is not even a northerner. Incidentally, not a northerner, a southerner. And for the first time has never even been to Abuja. Somebody introduced her to me. She came to Abuja. We spent a few days. And I gave her the script. She looked at the family, studied the family, the lineage, the history, the background, and I said, look, this is very interesting. Let me come up with a family tree to look like this. People say, how do I find time to talk to her or get information from her? We lie down in the same room, we lie down on the same bed. I sit down with her everywhere. I can say, apart from her children, I'm one of the closest person to her. And at any given time, I seize the opportunity to discuss my book. And I'm happy at every time I brought the subject matter, she's interested, she'll listen to me. And sometimes if there's anything she didn't remember, she'll ask me, refer me to somebody, asking her brothers, her cousins, her family members. Oh, they were very cooperative. And you can see as part of chapter 3 on her motherhood and marriage, each of the children, from Halima to Yusuf to Zara to Hanan and to Nur, each one of them has written something about her. I got to get the children down, interview them. What do you know? And they gave frantic statement about their mother and what their mother means to each one of them.
As we celebrate the commitment, dedication and courage of the First Lady, there seems to be a gradual erosion of our value system in Nigeria.
We are getting it wrong now because as parents, we don't have time for our children. Culture is a way of life, it's a way of our life, which has been handed over from generation to generation. Now, our generation is so funny that some of us don't even see our children probably once in 24 hours. They don't know when they wake up. They don't know when they go to school. They have handed over all this responsibility to house help, people outside the family. People don't even know. They don't know what is going on. So it is our responsibility. Whatever is happening to our children, I'm telling you, even right now, including rape, violence against women, is still an outcome of our irresponsibility to our children. I still recall, we all know our parents, how they brought some of us, manner of greetings, manner of talking to elders. In fact, in some cases, when your parents send you an error to the next door neighbor, you are instructed and warned not to take anything back. Even though it's a culture, as part of appreciation, some people will say, oh yeah, take this. In those days, maybe 1 pen, 20 kobo, 30 kobo, 50 naira. That's just for a child to buy chewing gum and some things. But I remember my mother was telling me in those days, nobody would be allowed to come home to say you have collected something simply because you've been sent an error, or a neighbor has asked you to do 1 or 2 things for him as a child. But all this thing is gone. Our children of nowadays, they don't even know how to greet elders. It's only to say, hey, how are you? From a distance. I remember the Yoruba culture is very interesting. I still like it. No matter how old somebody is, you see an elder person, you lie down flat to show respect. So that is where we are getting it wrong. Unless we go back to those orientation, to reorientate our children. It's the kind of the sociological values in those days that was handed over to us, being handed from generation to generation, but unfortunately our generation don't seem to take that seriously.
Parenting seems to have taken the back burner as parents no longer pay attention to their words, leading to their involvement in all manner of vices such as drug abuse, cultism, etc. It has been observed that parents no longer teach their children the right morals. For instance, they tell lies in the presence of their children.
A child will listen to you answering, talking with somebody on phone, telling him lies, and he's listening to you. That is very practical. And that is what our children are learning now. I think we need to go back and look at ourselves as parents and also think to know that this thing we are doing, are we doing it for the benefit of our children? We have to. The orientation has to be everywhere. In the school, in the whole, in the family, and there must be respect for our constitutional authority, and that will start from our home, at individual level before we come to institutional level. The school has a lot to do. The educational system has to change. Orientation has to be different. A lot of things. In fact, the curriculum itself, educational curriculum itself, from primary to secondary school, we have to go back to the former one we used to have. We have religious knowledge in the school. We have civic and, is it politics, something like this?
Civic education.
Civic education. And we used to have vocational counseling unit separately with a specialist in counseling and guidance and counseling that at any given time look at students and students coming to him for counseling, personal counseling, vocational counseling, and so many things. I'm not really sure if these things still exist in our school system. I'm saying that because I was also I'm an educationist. I'm a teacher. I grew in the job as a teacher to become the principal of one of the oldest girls' secondary school here in Abuja, Government Girls Secondary School, Duzi, where I served as a principal for 12 years before my appointment as a minister for women affairs. So these are the things that when I look back, I see what is happening nowadays. It makes me cry because it was not happening during my time. When I say during my time, that was back from 1998. That is when I left the school system.
This is a clarion call for all and sundry to work towards the revival of our morals, ethics, and values.
Congratulations to Hajia Sani Hajo on the successful launch of her book. I'll be taking a message. Okay. So, good morning, NTA Weekend Deal. My name is Emmanuel Akanu, contributing from Port Harcourt, Rivers State. It is a duty of parents to impart the right attitude in behavior to their children at the right time by providing for them and correcting them in a godly manner, and above all, educating them at the right time and on time. God bless Nigeria. Thank you. Mr. Akani, I cannot argue with you more. I cannot agree with you more, sorry. You are right on point. We'll go on the break. When we come back, the deal continues. Welcome back. Way back, it seemed as though one of the scriptures our parents like the most is spare the rod and spoil the child. And mine, they really use that scriptures effectively. These days, things are different. We'll go over to NTA Benin, where they have this feature on discipline, the effective way of disciplining and bringing up a child.
Just as the shrill cry of a newborn baby resonates, so it brings joy to the homestead where that baby is born into. In these contemporary times, child upbringing is akin to effective discipline, especially as a child's life rotates within the school and the home.
Kneeling down in front of the class while others are sitting down looking at you. Some of them will even be laughing at the person kneeling down without the person will take correction.
There are some children that are always they don't come with their books, they don't write, but when you talk to them constantly, you let them see the needs of education. If need be, you can invite the parents.
Kneel down there for the next 10 minutes. These are various forms of moral upbringing techniques, not physical assault. If there is physical assault and it leads to harm, it leads to brutality. The mother, for example, can go to court and seek the dress that there is assault occasioning harm, that there is willful pugilism, which could end up to be detrimental and harm the child physically. So, the law recognizes you don't need to spare the rod to spoil the child, but it is done with moderation and there are alternatives.
From the children themselves, what works for them for effective upbringing?
I want them to correct me by either flogging me or telling me to kneel down and raise up my hand, or telling me to work all the day and I will not have time to rest. Sometimes my mom said I should clean everywhere when I do something wrong. I would like to be punished by leaning down because I don't feel weak or pained when I'm leaning down.
They to control me and to tell me the right thing and to tell me that I should not do that thing again. I love when they advise me, and I think that I'll be a good child.
Daddy, please, I'm sorry. Daddy, please.
What works for child A may not work for child B, even if they are of same parents. As the popular saying goes, different strokes for different folks. Parents and caregivers are encouraged to discipline their children appropriately so they can grow up into responsible adults.
In this, we can't get to the place of discipline as far as bringing up our children is concerned. We must discipline them, but appropriately. Now, the NTA family is a very big one, from extended family members to the nuclear family members. Now, by extended, I would mean friends of the organization that have stayed with us for so long and contributed significantly to the growth of the organization. My next guest is one of them. He is a producer, he is a writer, he is a presenter. He has written so many films, documentaries, and shows, and he continues to do so. Recently, he launched a book. Please join me in welcoming to the Weekend Studio, Murtala Sule. Sir, you're welcome to Weekend Studio.
It's actually a privilege coming back home.
Yes, it's really. Your book. Let's start from your book.
All right.
It's a compelling read.
Oh, thanks.
I enjoyed it. Tell me. Let's start with the title: A Lifetime of Friendships.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that particular title for your book?
Okay. It was a bit of trouble finding a title.
Okay.
But all the while the title had been lying there that I didn't see because the story is about friendships. The theme. Growing up, I was raised in a family that was a people's family.
Alaja, I read about your mother.
my
that
mother,
was amazing.
Yes. You know, she never discriminated. She welcomed everybody, anybody from whatever part of the country into the home. She didn't even need to know your parents or your family or whatever. She was doing a lot of philanthropy, charity. You know, it was just natural to her. She was a princess of Molo in Oyo State, but we lived all our lives in Lagos.
Okay.
So our home was always full of people coming in and out, living with us for a while and going away. She was always giving out. So that's the kind of orientation that I had. So I had boys around me. You know, I was a footballer, an athlete. I did sprint in school and relays. And, you know, from those connections, you get to relate with a lot of people, friends, you know, and we never even knew who came from. I didn't know the surname of some of my friends until I was about to enter university when we were filling forms, and I said, oh, so you are Nokoro, you know, but we've been living together and living. So
that's the Nigeria
so that story, I later found out that it was destined to play a part in my life, in a later life, because the guy I wrote about, Godwin Igaro, he's from Edo, but we never knew.
Okay.
You know, he spoke Yoruba like, he had a Yoruba mother who died very early. But his impact on my life was the reason I wrote the book. He wasn't going to school. He didn't have the opportunity to be sent to go to a secondary school. His mom died very early, and his dad was raising them alone, 4 of them. But we met at the cinema. You know, we watched cinemas around Lagos. We watched films around Lagos, from the mainland to the island to Agege, VI, Ikoyi, all over. That appeared to be, business apart from schooling.
Okay, so did this have impact on your creative life?
It
because
did.
you grew up to become a creative, and you are still a creative.
Yes.
So that experiences, how did that impact on your life as a creative?
Okay, so from watching movies and playing football, I had this network of friends. Some of the friends were older than us. Our managers looked like Arsene Wenger and the rest of them. So we had older people gathering us together. There was neighborhood football in Lagos. We had stadia all over, mini stadiums, little place. And we were playing this rubber ball called Felele in Lagos. That system of footballing was what produced guys like Muda Lawal, Henry Woso, Shegun Odegbami, Slow Otubusin. Many of them. I could have been one of those who played for the Super Eagles, but I think I didn't have enough faith in its ability to carry me on later in life, because it wasn't as paying as it is now.
No, okay.
So I opted for education.
Okay.
So from watching films, somehow I strayed into training as a filmmaker when I was 17. I went out, I hadn't got admission into the university then, and we were languishing at home like many of the kids do now. One day I took myself and went to a film company. I said I wanted to train as a filmmaker. So that's how I strayed into this business of television.
And you became famous for presenting the popular show, Lagbo Video.
Yes.
Tell me how that experience was for you.
Fantastic. I know you know what I'm talking about, sitting on that seat. You know, Lagbo Video was, I think everything was divine. A friend of mine who recently read the book, he said it was like you didn't have any plans in life. Everything was just falling on your lap. When he said that was when I realized that I didn't even know the value of education, you know, but, you know, we naturally started schooling, and my parents were ready to send me anywhere, paid for anything. If I said I wanted to go overseas, they would pay. I was the only son and had 3 sisters. So I was like, I was over-pampered, you know.
I know the feeling.
Yes. So I didn't know the value of education, but I was brilliant, you know. I always came top of the class. Even in sports, I came tops. So I was famous. And that was it. So when I left secondary school, I didn't know how to go to university. There was nobody in my immediate environment, in the family, who was that educated, who knew that if you left secondary school, you would go to the university. You know. So I finished secondary school and sat at home with my friends Godwin, whom I had met, and my mom wasn't lettered.
Yes.
You know, she was a trader, rich woman, but a trader.
Yes.
So we were at home lounging. She would give us, buy us newspapers. We had three supplies of newspapers per day. At home, we did everything.
So how did you finally, you got into university and finally...
Okay.
Yes.
So when one day we were at home after playing football, we'll be there, we'll be teasing ourselves, abusing ourselves, and say, you useless person. You don't have a job, you don't have any training. I'll tell God, you don't even have secondary education. So, but those jokes were, they got to us somehow. And then one day I had to go to look for how to get a job, to get a training. While training, I discovered I had to be educated, so I left training for film.
Okay, so I mean, if you read this book, NTA plays a central role in your book, especially from the chapter 5, Sacrifices.
Yeah.
I had to read that, and I felt it made me feel good as an NTA staff.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I mean, we being underappreciated and all. What was your experience back then?
With NTA?
How would you talk about NTA as it is now?
I'd say that NTA eventually placed me on the route to where I am, and I'm so very grateful. And I got a couple of people whose name I would like to mention, if you permit me. The DG then, Engineer Vincent Maduka, and our Director of Programs, Dr. Victoria Ezekoli. They had a big vision for NTA. And at a point in time, they said they wanted fresh writers. So they organized this national competition for writers. And I happened to have got a place among the 40 people brought together at VI. And they brought trainers from the UK, people who were working for BBC, who were contractors for BBC, Victor Pemberton and David Spencer, one writer and a director. So we were trained there. That class of scriptwriters formed, I should say, the core of Nollywood at the beginning. People like Zebe Jiro, they were in that class, and the Amenechi. Those are producer directors that everybody knows around the world now. So we were in that class. So
we can actually say NTA is the cradle of Nigerian. It's the cradle of Nigerian entertainment, because almost everybody from the beginning started from NTA.
Came from NTA. Yes.
NTA.
Even the private production company, the company Latola Films, where I trained initially, was the first indigenous film producing company in Nigeria. Alaji Latif Olayinka worked at NTA. All of them, Wale Fanu, everybody, Alaji Arologun, all of them worked at NTA, and we were also working in the private companies. So people like that inspired me early on. And I later met them 20 years later within NTA when I was admitted in.
Okay. Tell me some of your experiences presenting the
Lagbo video.
Yeah, Lagbo video. Give me one or two epic experiences that we can draw from.
Lagbo video was at once an adventure and a discovery. A discovery and an adventure for me. I trained in mass communication at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. At that time, we had only two universities in Nigeria training people in mass comm. It's either in Nsukka or Lagos. I opted to go to Nsukka because all my life I spent in Lagos, and I wanted to know another part of the country, especially immediately after the Civil War, where our minds as children had been fed with propaganda about how the other people were bad. So I wanted to go and see for myself.
First hand.
Yes. So that was it. So for Lagbo video, wow. The film industry then didn't have any show to bring film people onto television. So it just occurred to me that I could do this. That was the idea, and we took it to Channel 7.
And it was a hit.
It was a hit. You know, when Lagbo video was on in Lagos, the streets would be empty. People run home to see it at 3:30 on Sunday, every Sunday then.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, now today we are taking a look at bringing up a child, looking at our ethics and morals, and we've agreed from what we have researched that there is a decline in our moral standard. What do you think we are getting wrong as far as bringing up children now is concerned? I mean, judging from your experience, what are we not getting right?
Well, I don't know if I'm competent to say that, but I could make a couple of observations, you know. I don't think it's peculiar with Nigeria or any part of the country. It's all over the world, you know. The world is losing it, you know.
So America, how do we get it back? We are losing it. That's it's established. What do you think we should do to just get it back or get back on track?
Be more vigilant, you know. I think our generation of parents have lost something. We tend to love our children too much. We think we are giving them love, but we're depriving them of the chance to grow up responsible. Yeah, my generation, it started, you know, people started today, people will do things for their children that the children should do for themselves.
I
yes.
agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that if we address that, then I think we could do something.
We should allow the children do what they should do for themselves.
Things they should
by
do for themselves.
themselves.
Yes, by
okay,
themselves.
Before we end up this interview, what do you want people to take away from this book? For a reader, people are looking at us and say, okay, I'm going to get this book. So what do you want them to take away from? What's the takeaway from this book?
That relationships trump everything.
The relationship you form while in the line of your career.
All through your life, as a child, within the family, in your career. I have friends who are my friends who've been my friends for 50 years. I'll be 64 on April 24th, and I have friends 50 years been coming. Godi, I met him at around age 10. He only died 2 years ago. I still have people like Mahmoud Ali Balogun, 30-year friendship, and the Amenechi, 35 years friendship. So, but I cherish those connections, and they have impacted on my career and my success as a person. That's the essence.
Interesting. Friendship, real friendship, true friendship is the way to go.
Yeah, it would be true if the both of you, people will offend you, they will have the bad sides.
Maybe what I mean again is the fact that you met those people at the point where all of you were struggling, were real to each other.
Yeah.
They didn't come to you because of wealth. They didn't come to you because you were popular.
No.
So we should cherish the friends we make when we are on this journey of success.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's what I took from your book. I read it the whole night and I enjoyed it so much.
Thanks. That's
so we've
precious.
been speaking with Murchala Sule. He's an author, he's a presenter, he's a writer, he's a television broadcaster, and his book, A Lifetime of Friendship, is indeed an interesting read. We'll be ending the interview here. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
I'm very grateful.
And then on the show today, some things have been established, and the fact that there's a decline in the moral standard of our children. It's a sure thing, and that as parents, we must all go back. Everybody's clamoring that as parents, we must all go back to the things that we're doing right, that our parents did right, to instill and inculcate discipline in us. And one way of doing it is that we must have this communal thinking. We may not be as communal as it was back then, but we must have this communal thinking to ensure that we look at every child as our own child, every child as our own. If a child is wrong, we should be able to correct the child. And as mothers and as parents and as guardians, we must tell the children that their parents, their aunties, their uncles, or there are people out there that can also correct you, so that children will know that wherever they are watched. The conversation will continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for keeping a date with us. We have come to the end of the show. See you tomorrow. God continue to bless Nigeria. Goodbye.